Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you, I have the very final October review, horror review, if you will, the Spooktober reviews. This is the last one. We're going to be going over the Resident Evil 2 Remake, and let's just start off with the basic information of the game. The publisher and developer is Capcom. Nothing's really changed there. The engine is completely different, though, from the original, as it is the re-engine. The game was released for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, January of 2019. It was released for the Amazon Luna, whatever the hell that is, June of 2022, and it is supposed to be getting released for Nintendo Switch in 2022 as well. The thing is, it looks very unclear to me right now is if it has been released for Nintendo Switch yet. That being said, when I was looking at it, it looks like must be like some kind of deal between Nintendo and Capcom, and it looks like they're pretty much dumping the whole library of Resident Evil onto the Nintendo. Everything from the Resident Evil remake all the way up to the most current Resident Evil game. So it's like 8 games, 7, 8 games in total. Quite a few games, actually. Now, when it comes to the plot of the story, well, it really hasn't changed from the original. If you're familiar with the original, if you're not, I'll give you a quick overview. You got 2 different scenarios that you're playing through. One scenario you're playing as Claire or Leon. The other scenario you're playing as the other character that you didn't play in the first scenario. So if you played as Claire, then your second scenario you play as Leon. There is different approaches to them and different story points in between the 2 parts. But there's not a whole lot of vast difference that I can really throw in there. So I'm not really going to get too in-depth with that. But generally, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is Claire Redfield is in Raccoon City looking for her brother. And then, of course, Leon Kennedy, first day as an officer, rookie cop for the Raccoon City Police Department. And as you can see, all hell is broken loose. And with that being said, I want to point out some things I liked about the game, which was great sounds, great graphics, great atmosphere. I mean, it really helped with the immersion. There was a lot of areas that was dark. The music helped with the immersion. The sounds are very superb. I like the sounds of the guns. Really meaty. You want to stick out your lips when you're firing guns, like the minigun. Oh my God, the minigun sounds so fucking good. But all the guns, in my opinion, sound really good. I really wasn't disappointed with any of them. They all sound fairly authentic within the realm of being a game. Now, there is directional sound too, so you can judge what direction something's coming from. That was very well done. I really can't complain there whatsoever. Now, when it comes to the atmosphere, the police department looks like it's in utter chaos. So once again, there's not really much to say there except for it looks like what it's supposed to be. And that, once again, that helps with the immersion of the game, in my opinion. Once again, there's certain areas that aren't lit. Everything looks like it's in utter chaos. As a part of the story goes, is that the Raccoon City Police Department was a point for people to go to essentially be rescued, a shelter point, if you will. And, yeah, it looks like it was used as a shelter point. As I said, it looks like it's in chaos. As you can see here, the typewriters are back, folks. You know, that's kind of a cool thing, I think, because it is supposed to be a survival horror game. Now, that being said, there is automatic save points, but I didn't really notice them, so I can't really tell you where they are. There's not many of them, and I think it's normally when you're going from point to point in the game. Like if you're going from the police station to the sewers, the first time, it does an autosave. But generally speaking, you have to rely on typewriters to do your saving, just like in the classic Resident Evil games. Now, that being said, though, no ink ribbons. So pretty much you can save as much as you want. You don't have to lug around an ink ribbon. I think it was kind of cool to have the ink ribbons, but I think it's also kind of nice, too, that we don't have to worry about that anymore, that was something they cut from the game. Now, the other cool thing, and I really thought this was cool and really helped with the immersion, the zombies can now break through windows and can walk through doors. That is just awesome in my opinion. And that, once again, that helps with the immersion. Now, that being said, they're not going to walk through locked doors. And you can actually also, that being said, even if they smash in a window and climb through, you can take and you'll find planks of wood that you can take and actually nail up to the windows to help them prevent from breaking in again. But yeah, they still will at some point or another. They will break through the boards. And also, that being said, the other nice detail is even though there is planks of boards, I think there was like 6 planks of boards I found. It's not enough planks to cover up all the windows in the police department. So you kind of got to figure out what's going to be your best bet for these boards. Story is good. It's as good as the original, and it followed a lot of leads from the original. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some changes. The voice line delivery sounded good for the most part. Stuff of that nature. So, honestly, that all really worked out, in my opinion, just perfectly fine. That they kept the original spirit of the story alive, even though they did make changes to it. Can't complain there. PD looks amazing. I've already pointed that out. And, honestly, I think the layout's also better as well compared to the original. It feels actually larger. It feels more like a police department. There's more office rooms. There's storage rooms, things of that nature. Plus, you get some snippets too about how the police department was originally a museum that was converted to a police department. I think that was a cool snippet. And there's even some rooms that it's like, oh, this is an art room storage. So that makes sense in the basis of the game and what the police department is supposed to be. So I think that's great. Mr. X, they call him Mr. X. I remember when he was like the T-00, the tyrant. He's random now. And, well, I like the fact that he's random, but oh my God, he can be such a pain in the ass. You just can't get him off of you, in my opinion. On my first playthrough, I went through probably a good third half of the police station before encountering him. But then once I encountered him, that was it. He would not go away. No matter if I just ran away from him, no matter if I shot him up, didn't matter. And, within a couple minutes, he'd be back on me. And that got to be a bit of a nuisance after so long. So it was kind of a good good negative type thing. I think it was good that they made him random, but it was negative in the sense that it's like, come on, get him off of me for a couple minutes here. More than 5 minutes would be nice, especially because he's a bullet sponge. He takes a lot of hits, unless you use the big old AT4, but we won't get into that one. I like the fact that it's got new takes on pretty much a lot of the very similar puzzles, to be honest. And now they've also added some new puzzles as well. But essentially it comes down to it's the same old traditional Resident Evil puzzles that we're used to. You got to look for an item, combine it with another item, and then you can use it on a door or whatever, and it opens up, and then you can access a new area. Sometimes you need a key keys to help collect these items and get to new areas. Sometimes you need multiple items brought to one location, and then you can get to a new area. So, honestly, it's the traditional Resident Evil puzzles. There's nothing wrong with it. It does get a little tedious at times, but it's fine for the most part. They brought back the old survival modes. You got Honk and you got Tofu. Plus, they brought in 3 new survival modes. I'll be honest, I didn't get to check out the new survival modes, and I really didn't check out Tofu's survival playthrough. I only did Honk's. And, well, Honk's kind of like my favorite secondary character that never really got his own main game, or at least that I'm aware of, he never got his own main game. Now, of course, Part A, Scenario A, and Scenario B play very differently from one another. It's not hugely different. It's definitely more different than it used to be. It's a lot more different compared to what it used to be. So definitely tip my hat off to that one. It kind of keeps the game a little bit, keeps your mind a bit more active when you're playing through the different playthroughs. Because the problem is with the old one is honestly, you know, Scenario A and Scenario B at points that were so similar that essentially you were doing the exact same thing twice. The inventory system is simple grid system. I'm fine with the fact they used a simple grid system. It is expansive as well. They do give a lot of hit packs so you can expand your personal inventory space. That being said, I think I would have preferred something more like Resident Evil 4, especially because the gameplay is very similar to Resident Evil 4. So, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I just think it would have been beneficial with a more advanced grid-based system compared to like Resident Evil 4 than what we'd have with Resident Evil 2 or even Resident Evil. The game does have mod support. I think that's cool. A lot of some mods out there for this game. Now, things I felt was kind of negative that they could have actually really put more work into was, one thing is the lack of interaction with the other character. Like when I was playing through Claire, I saw Leon 3 times, and that was it. Twice towards the beginning, you know, of course, the very beginning, then shortly after I got the police station, and then the very end of the game. And I felt like with the changes they made, they could have made more interactions between Chris and Leon. And to be honest, that I recall, the original actually had more interaction between Leon and Claire. And I really don't know why to me it felt like they removed interaction between those two characters. The zombies are bullet sponges. They really are. Honestly, I was, you know, kind of tracking my ammo as I was unloading onto zombies, as well as lickers and some of the other creatures in the game. And I'm going to be honest, the zombies just take way too much damage, in my opinion. You know, they literally take almost as much damage as a licker does. Now, the licker's more of a threat because it's faster. Don't get me wrong. And it's a harder target to hit because it's faster, but there's no reason why I should be mag dumping zombies with an MP5. And that being said, you'd think headshots, because of the advanced aiming system that it has, would actually be some kind of a benefit, but yeah, that's pretty much it. You're wrong. Now, one thing I do want to point out is while FPS-wise, the game ran completely perfectly solid, A+ all the way through, I did have some problems with the game freezing, and I looked it up. So what would happen is the game would actually freeze for like a minute or two, sometimes up to 4 minutes, just for no reason. It would just freeze. There'd be no indication, no warning. Just do it. Sometimes I'd continue to get audio, like if it was during like a movie clip or something. I'd continue getting audio, but everything would freeze and lock up. That being said, I looked it up online and I tried a couple different things myself, and it looks like the only way to fix it was actually completely restarting my PC. Doesn't make sense. I don't care. I'm just throwing it out there so that way people are aware of, yes, there is issues with this game freezing, and when it's constantly freezing, like it got to the point where it's freezing every like 10 minutes for me, I had to restart my computer, and then I was able to finish my playthrough. So it's kind of weird how it's like I was able to play like 2.5 hours, no problems. And it's like, oh, wow, this runs great with everything maxed out. And then just out of nowhere, it just started freezing constantly. And then I went looking to see what I could do to fix it. Maybe there was some kind of community patch or something. Maybe I need to change my graphics settings. No, it was none of that. It was just like, yeah, just restart your PC and go back to playing the game then. And that worked because I reset my PC and I finished the last few hours of the game without any problems. I really don't know. Now, honestly, in my opinion, when it comes to the two games between Resident Evil and the Resident Evil 2 Remake, I honestly feel that the pacing of the Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 2, the original, was actually better than the remake at certain points, because literally there was points where I was literally just running down hallways doing absolutely nothing at all. There was nothing going on. You know, it was just I was running from point A to point B looking for stuff. And in all honesty, maybe it's because of the limitations of the technology at the time, because they had to make the map smaller, they had less puzzles. It felt like the pacing was better for the original than the new game. And that's just something, if you're looking for a high-strung action game, then yeah, the Resident Evil 2 remake is probably not going to be for you, because there was quite a few instances, several minutes of just absolutely nothing going on. Nothing to even concerned with. The next thing, and listen, this is an irritant for me. I don't know if it was for other people. I don't care. I'm a gun guy. I got gun videos on my YouTube channel. I know what I'm talking about with guns. I do not understand why Leon Kennedy, when you find the M19, which is essentially a Colt 1911 in 45 ACP, decides to do a super modified gangster when he aims down the gun sight. Like, what the hell? Just absolutely just throw the bullets at that point. You know, if that broke the immersion for me. First off, Leon's supposed to be a cop. I know he's supposed to be a rookie, but he's supposed to be a trained officer. He obviously knows how to aim a handgun. You just saw me using the Beretta there, or they call it the Samurai Edge. It's a Beretta M9. You know, so you know he knows how to use guns, and you know he's trained how to use firearms. But no, we're just gonna take this 1911 and 45 ACP, and we're gonna turn it sideways and shoot it like a gangster. Because yeah, super modified gangster.
Brace yourself.
I just don't know. It felt weak to me. Now that being said, if there is people that was annoyed by that, at least as annoyed as much as I was, there's a mod that you can download that changes the animation. So that way he actually does aim it normal. I have no idea why he does the super modified gangster. The Umbrella Lab, it didn't feel fleshed out to me. That's just my opinion. The lab seemed really clean. It didn't really seem like as much of a maze. It felt actually really straightforward. Now, honestly, in the original, the lab wasn't really much, but I don't know. When it comes to atmosphere, I think the lab from the original Resident Evil 2 was actually better than this one. Now, don't get me wrong. It looks nicer because the graphics are nicer. And there is little subtle details that they put in that makes it still look great. But I felt like they rushed through doing the design of the lab, Umbrella Labs itself. You know, it kind of felt like to me that it was like, oh, hey, we're coming up on the due here. The game's got to be ready. So they just, nipped it in the butt and put it out there the way it was, or, they didn't put as much time and detail into it as they did with the police station and the sewers, which were superbly done. And then the lab just kind of felt lackluster especially after going through the police station. The police station was superbly done. But anyway, folks, so here's my thing about it. Is it worth it? I honestly think it is. It was a fun playthrough. I don't believe I will play this anywhere near as much as I played the original Resident Evil 2. Mostly because it's me. This really isn't my kind of game anymore. But I still had an overall fun experience with the game. And honestly, yeah, for $40 on Steam, I think it's actually worth it. Now, it does got some DLCs. I wouldn't really waste my time on them because it's a lot of outfits and there's skins. There's reskins for the Samurai Edge for the Beretta. But honestly, with mods, I mean, you can download a lot of that stuff. So I just really don't know if it's really worth it. The only DLC I would think that's really worth anything is there is a DLC that unlocks all the unlockables in Resident Evil 2. That's the only one I think that's actually really worth anything, especially if you're not going to play this game a lot. Like me, I did my playthrough of Scenario A and Scenario B, and it might be a year or so before I play it again. This is not. It's not like back in the day when I was doing speed runs on the original Resident Evil 2. Anyway, folks, there you go. That's my opinion. $40. It's worth it. Go out and buy it. Fucking enjoy it. Anyway, folks, hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have yourself a wonderful day.